Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope you all had a blessed weekend. And my name is Pastor Manny, and this is a ministry we have here called Looking Up at English Oaks Seventh-day Adventist Church, where I share an encouraging thought for the day and for the week as well. A thought I want to share with us is found in Mark Mark at the end of chapter 8, and Mark is sharing a story of Jesus when Jesus is talking to a crowd, and the book of Mark was written for the Romans, and that's pretty important to know, especially in this section that we are going to read right here. Mark 8:34 through 38 says this: Then they called the crowd to him, and along with his disciples. Then he called the crowd to him along with his disciples, and said, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it. But whoever loses their life for me and for the gospel will save it. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? If anyone is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, the Son of Man will be ashamed of them when he comes in his Father's glory with his holy angels." Man, so Jesus is saying some pretty strong stuff here, right? And I like one of the imagery that he uses is to deny yourself and to take up your cross. And if anybody would know about crosses, it would be the Romans, right? Which is who this is written for. And a lot of times, the Romans were the ones that kind of really made that, right? Crucifixion. And so the criminals, people that would be punished, would have to carry their cross to the place of execution, and they would die there, right? So Romans knew about crucifixion, about crosses and things like that. So imagine being a Roman and then Jesus saying this imagery, right? And imagine what kind of impact that made on them. And looking at it now for us, like, Jesus denied himself, and he took up the cross, and he gave up his life for me and for you, right? And I think that's what Jesus is trying to say here. He's like, hey, what in this world, what is before me, right? He says, what good is it to gain the whole world and to lose yourself, right? To lose your soul. And we have to ask ourselves, like, what do I have before God? Are certain views come before God and his views? Am I living a certain way that isn't pleasing to God, right? And so these are all things that we need to think about, right? And Jesus wants to be the thing that we desire most, right? That we want the most, even to the point where we'll be willing to give up our lives for it, right? We have to come to the point where the gospel and the message of Jesus is so ingrained in us that it's something that we would be willing to lose our lives for, right? Because that's what the people back in the Old Testament, right, in the New Testament, the disciples, Paul the apostle, right, they were, and then just beyond that, they were all willing to give their lives for it. And so this is something that has to be, that we need to be that needs to be so ingrained in us, that we need to be so committed to, right, that we'd be willing to lose our lives for it as well. And I think it's interesting too that Jesus says this, and what happens before he says this, right? This is Peter actually tells Jesus, hey, like, don't go to the cross, right? And this is what happens in verse 33. But when Jesus turned and looked at his disciples, he rebuked Peter. "Get behind me, Satan," he said. "You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns." And I just want us to reflect on what Jesus is saying here. He says to Peter, "You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns," right? And I want us to reflect on that, because I want my concerns to be God's concerns, and not merely human concerns, right? Because merely human concerns are very temporal, right? The things of this world are not eternal, right? We know that the earth is going to be made new again. So my prayer for us, my prayer for myself is, for one, like, I want to deny myself and to take up my cross daily, right? And the second thing is, I want my concerns to be God's concerns and not my own concerns or merely human concerns, right? Because God sees the scope of eternity, and we see our scope of seeing things is very, very limited, right? So that's the thought I have for us today. I'm just gonna read it one more time. Whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me and for the gospel will save it. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? If anyone is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous, sinful generation, the Son of Man will be ashamed of them when he comes in his Father's glory with his holy angels. All right, so that's just the thought for the day. I hope you all have a blessed week. Please take care, stay safe out there, and wish you all good health. And may you have godly, divine experiences this week. All right, that draws you closer to Him. All right, take care. God bless, and have an awesome week.